Welcome to Wisconsin in Focus. I'm JD Davidson. We just passed Super Tuesday, which really wasn't all that super, but Wisconsin wasn't a part of that. However, election days in Wisconsin are rapidly approaching. As we have talked about before, politics and elections really are local, meaning races for the state house are critically important. And those races will be run in Wisconsin under maps drawn by a Democratic governor. Joining us today is Ben Yount, Wisconsin contributor for the Center Square. Ben, Speaker Robin Vos said this week that basically he ain't scared, which sets up for an interesting few months during election season.
Yeah, Robin Vos is never afraid of the Democrats in Madison. Frustrated, yes. Disagreeable at times, yes. But he's never been afraid because Wisconsin is, when you look at the geography of the state, the political geography of the state, Wisconsin leans Republican. You have massive groups, bubbles, cities of Democrats in Madison and Milwaukee. And then, you know, you can find the blue dots throughout the state when it comes to university communities. But by and large, when you talk about the local races, when you talk about races for the state assembly, races for the state senate, those are going to be made up of a majority of Republican voters. And as we talked about at length, as I think we did, 15, 16 podcasts in a row about Wisconsin's remap process, Governor Evers redrew the maps this year. And Republicans, of course, agreed to these maps because they are less bad than what the maps from the Supreme Court would have been. But these were drawn specifically to unseat Republican incumbents and perhaps flip the state assembly from Republican-controlled to Democrat-controlled. Vos was on the radio earlier this week and said, look, we've got the candidates. We'll have the arguments. And Democrats are going to have to convince the voters in red Wisconsin that their policies, their plans, their vision for the state is the winning one. And Vos said he's confident that when they go out, that they'll lose some seats. They certainly will. They won't have the 60-something majority that they have now. It'll probably lose about 10 seats. But in the end, he said he's confident that he can convince voters in Wisconsin to vote for lower taxes and smaller government, more law and order, and to not turn smaller communities throughout the state into either Milwaukee or Madison. And so he said the only real question is, once Republicans come back with what he expects to be a continued Republican majority, he said, what then will be the excuse? Because for the past decade, Democrats in Wisconsin have said they're being robbed by the maps. And if only we had fair maps, then we'd have fair government. And so Vos said he's very much looking forward to winning come November and then waiting for the new excuse from Democrats in Madison.
What are Democrats saying about the whole process? I just feel like I'm not hearing a lot. Are they on purpose keeping a low profile, or do they want to set expectations low?
This is kind of the dog that caught the car, right? Okay, what do I do now? Okay. They were sort of gearing up for this battle within the Supreme Court of all right, we've got this legal fight, and what are the maps going to be? And again, Vos is not wrong that for the past decade, since the last time that we did these maps, well, and we redid the maps in 2022. So the past couple of years specifically, and the past several years before that, the whole line has been, the voters should pick their politicians, not the other way around. And we deserve fair maps. And the move to adopt the governor's maps sort of short-circuited that. And now what you have is Republicans who are going home and getting ready to campaign, going home and getting ready to get elected. There's been a flurry, and we'll probably write a few more stories here in Wisconsin of, okay, what happens next? Because certain Republicans were drawn into other Republican districts. Up by Green Bay, they put 3 Republican state senators into one district, and that looks like it's going to get shaken out. One's going to run for Congress, leaving 2, and I think one of them will step out of the way. But while Republicans are sort of focused on that election strategery, Democrats are trying to figure out where they go. This is a state that is a heavy manufacturing state. You get out into rural Wisconsin, you've got problems of jobs, you've got problems with healthcare. the sort of talking points of abortion and gun control and gender at school, while they play really well in Madison and the WOW counties, they may not play so well when you get out to the rural parts of the Fox Valley or the Chippewa Valley or some of these areas where Democrats are now going to have to run. And so, yeah, there's going to be a scramble for candidates. You know, they're already incumbent Republicans. You're going to need to find new Democrats. There's going to be a scramble to raise money, but that's never been a problem for Democrats in Wisconsin. And there's also a bit of a distraction. Tammy Baldwin, the U.S. Senator here in Wisconsin, may have her first serious challenger. And so the statewide Democrats are trying to focus on that race. And are they going to have the capacity to focus on, you know, all of the state house races that they're now going to have to run in these Democrat friendly maps? And yeah, it also is early. I mean, you know, it's just March, but yeah, Robin Vos and Republicans are not scared. In fact, that's one of the reasons why they wrapped up business late last month and have gone home now to get reelected.
So how quickly do things have to move? How quickly do they have to officially announce? We've got primaries running or coming up. Vos is facing a recall election of his own. So how quickly do things have to move election-wise? What's the timeline for us?
The primary for the November election is in August. So there's some time. The spring election is almost entirely local. The big question, and we'll probably talk about this coming up on next week's podcast, the 90-something school referendum questions that voters will be taking a look at this spring, including one from Milwaukee Public Schools. We wrote that story today. Yeah, Robin Vos's recall is an interesting one. That there are just some people who are angry at the speaker. A small group of people in his district who are furious that he didn't do something about the election in 2020, are furious that he didn't do something about the Elections Commission, are just furious that Robin Vos isn't sufficiently a Trump supporter. And they've launched what will end up being a very expensive and most likely doomed recall effort. I mean, he just won re-election back in November of 2022. So, yeah, that's the immediate. But, you know, Democrats have some time to find some candidates. Democrats have some time to raise some money. Democrats have some time. But these are local races. If you add up every single one of the legislative races in Wisconsin in 2022 as a whole, they cost about $40 million. There were, I want to say, 12 races that were $1 million plus. So while this is going to be an expensive year to run for anything, the state house races are going to be down ballot. You got the president, then you've got U.S. Senate here in Wisconsin. And so, you know, a state house district in a sort of outstate area is not going to get the attention. You know, there's only so much room in the newscast in Green Bay. You can't run them all. So Democrats do have some time, and they'll need that time because they've got a lot of work to do if they're going to put on some credible campaigns come fall.
Well, it should be a fun several months for us. Ben, thanks for joining us today. Listeners can keep up with this story and more at thecentersquare.com.
Get creative with Skillshare. Explore thousands of hands-on creative classes with one inspiring membership. Watch, play, learn, discover. Follow the link in our show description to join Skillshare today and get 1 month free.